Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Got a really cool feature for you today. Going to showcase a home I highlighted in a YouTube short that had Focal Maestro Utopias in the beautiful finish. REL 31 subs and newer subs. Boulder amps and preamps, as well as NAD amps for the surround sound channels. Beautiful room on top of that was outfitted, well, at least designed by Artnovion, a company that does room treatments. They did a CAD diagram of the dimensions and what treatments to put where to get the maximum potential out of that room and gear. And that was probably even more impressive than the gear itself, which was impressive. But then there was a third thing that impressed me about the gentleman himself, how he has learned in the hobby quickly, what works with the Maestro Utopias and not, and also having his priorities in order. And jump on that macro point real quick. One thing I noticed, despite all this very extensive, expensive gear as well, and room where a lot of money's been spent, he was using Blue Jeans cable. And it came back to the video I just released on cables. Certainly, as I mentioned there, cables can make a difference, and there's certainly niche situations where you want to pay attention to that at an extreme level because it can impact your performance drastically. But for most people's situations, it's very subjective, cables, and at small runs. And when I see somebody put a lot into the gear and the room first before starting to try exotic cables, that kind of syncs with me in terms of an audiophile that really has their priorities in order. Doesn't mean you can't try exotic cables, and that's what he mentioned, his next thing on his list to maybe start doing that. That's the priority list, at least in my experience, you want to have, unless you have those niche situations I talked about in the cable video. And I use expensive cables too in some cases. So again, not hating one or the other, but those priorities, I think, is the macro takeaway. The other macro takeaway to not overlook with this room and this gentleman is that he spent a lot of time, he's had the Focal Maestro Utopias for over 3 years, and he has used several different amps with them. And it took a while to find an amp that can drive them properly because it's a very demanding load. It's not friendly to most amplifiers, and probably most tube amplifiers, if not all, will suffer in an A-B comparison to a very powerful solid state. And so what the macro takeaway here is synergy number one for your own needs, but you got to be very careful when you read these reviews online. A lot of these professional reviewers, either in magazine, YouTube, wherever, just substitute in one piece of gear for another, keep everything else the same. And sometimes you think that's a valid comparison, but sometimes it's not. You need to understand what gear they're using. So if they're using Apogee speakers, which is another one that had super demanding needs for amplifier, well, if that's their reference speaker, then only a few amps are going to get the potential out of that speaker. Similar here with the Focal Maestro Utopias. If somebody uses a bunch of amps with Focal Maestro Utopias, you have to be more sophisticated and understand what system they're using. So if they just rank or give an impression of an amp with that speaker, it may not 100% apply to you if you have horns or you have a British speaker or some much more friendly speaker. In some cases, whatever rankings or whatever feedback or review was given, A, B, C, D in the magazine, maybe another amp is actually better for you. So again, it's more about judging, and I wish reviewers would more give a review of the system as a whole versus individual components and come up with rankings of components, because in my opinion, that's a very primitive metric for how you analyze gear. It has to be done in the context of what else you're mating to that gear. So hopefully you enjoy this walkthrough and those macro takeaways resonate with you as well. Again, I'll have in a separate video some music clips. I always put those in a separate video because YouTube sometimes tends to want to block things. So enjoy, and I'll see you back here soon. All right, guys, don't drool too much yet. We're going to talk a little bit about this awesome system here. Luis just installed a few things. Let's get the rundown. What you got here, Luis?
All right, so one of our customers decided that he wanted to make a custom rack, and obviously we were able to use the guys from Ultrasonic Audio Rack to build them. So this is a sandwich acrylic. So you have clear, black, and clear, as well as on the amp racks we have a 3-inch clear, black, clear. And the amp racks actually slide in and out, so they're not attached to the main rack.
Cool.
You have these legs going over the rack, give it a nice look. You can pull them out or push them back in as much as you want. So if you want them flush, you can have them flush. If you want them out so you can see the beautiful machine work from Boulder, you can do that as well. So this room we're in it's a multi-purpose room. We have TV, home theater application with a screen, projector, a multi-channel system. It's a 9.2.4. So a lot of channels for multi-channel system. So we're getting ready to set up these beautiful Focal Maestro Utopias in this room, and we want to be able to place them in a way where they don't block the screen and they sound great, so we can get the fullest potential out of his great electronics. So he got a pair of monoblocks from Boulder, the 2150s, 2000 series Boulder, full Class A, 1,000 watts of it are going to be going to these speakers. So plenty of power, plenty of driver control for these Focal Maestro Utopias. The multi-channel system is being controlled by the Marantz AV receiver. Actually, this is not a receiver, this is a processor. And then he has some NAD multi-channel amplifiers to power the center channel and surround speakers. For his stereo, he has a beautiful Rossini DAC with the clock from DCS Electronics, which sounds wonderful, and that's going to be the primary source for his stereo listening. So we're getting ready to set these up now, and we will soon maybe take some music videos of them playing.
Let's not forget these subs too.
Yeah, sorry, forgot the 0.2 version. So these are the new REL number 31s, the 12-inch driver, carbon fiber, completely sealed cabinet, extremely fast. They are very, very similar to the number 32s, just at a smaller scale. Perfect for a room this size, where the number 32s would probably take up a little bit more of a footprint than we have to give. So the 31s is perfect matching for this system. And we've already played with them. He had a pair of loaner amplifiers while these got built, and they sound great. So we're very excited to get the sound out of the new Boulders and integrate it into the system.
Yeah, one thing to point out, we were just talking about this in the WhatsApp group this week. A lot of people would say, why do you need 1,000 watts? Certain speakers you don't. These, I actually looked at the measurements of these speakers when we were talking about it earlier this week. That's why it's so ironic. These, and the owner can attest as well, really do require this kind of power to get the utmost potential out of them. So, sometimes you may not need this, but there are certain cases where these are the right answers. So we're going to play some tunes and hear them at their full potential now. So guys, one thing just to add is you notice a lot of room treatments, and don't overlook that as being part of what exceptional quality of sound you get. This was aided with I think Artnovion did some 3D CAD design, help out with that. But yeah, this is when you know somebody is taking his hobby seriously and getting the utmost potential from your gear when you have room treated like this. So don't overlook the treatments in this room. All right, a few hours later, everything's set up. Now the subs are dialed in. I did some music clips without the subs just to showcase how good the Focal Maestro Utopias handled the room. But yeah, now we dialed in the subs. So Luis, what's your verdict here?
So we're very happy with the outcome. We were able to place the speakers in a position where it didn't interrupt the screen, and it still sounds amazing. I mean, the imaging, I wish everybody could be here to experience this. The grip, the control, just the sheer power that you get out of these Boulders, to me, it's been the best I've heard Focal sound so far. Even hearing bigger Grand Utopias at shows mostly, it's a little bit unfair. This room is nicely treated, but it's been the best I've heard Focal so far. And I've heard a lot of systems, and this has been a really good combination. And I'm really happy how it came out. So, I mean, it's just the combination of things here. Subs are acting just as fast as the main drivers. I mean, it's really amazing. And maybe we'll come back, do a clip with the subs on, and also do a multi-channel clip. Jason suggested some DVDs and videos to the customer, so we'll definitely gotta come back and tune the multi-channel with the system now how it is.
Yeah, awesome. I'm looking forward to that as well. But this has been a nice treat. So thanks, Luis. Hope you guys enjoyed.